Hafed Al-Ghwell. He is a Libyan analyst based here in Washington, D.C. He described Libya as a country teetering on the brink of civil war.
Now, Libya, in reality, is a failed state, in the definition of a failed state. What shocks me the most at this moment is that even though the country is under Chapter 7 of the United Nations, it is under that, which means that the international community has all of the legal framework in place to deal with it. Nobody is moving, nobody is trying to help the country, and it's sort of slipping slowly in the background.
So I want to ask you about the United States move in Tripoli to grab al-Libi, because this seems to be kind of generating a lot of this. Is that behind a lot of the actions we've seen, the Prime Minister being nabbed, and how much does that contribute to what's going on now?
It did contribute to it, but really among those hardened jihadist groups. I mean, the larger public was not really particularly disturbed by the United States landing in Tripoli and picking him up. It's only the hard core fundamentalist groups that have a problem with that, and especially those who are being accused of killing our dear friend Chris Stevens, the ambassador last year. They see this as a first move by the United States. They think they will be next, and they're trying to preempt any secondary movement. There is no animosity against the United States. In fact, there is an incredible reservoir of goodwill. And the reason for that is because the United States was seen for a long time as a liberator in Libya, because after World War II, it was the Allies who liberated the country from the clutches of the fascists.
You've made 2 trips back recently. Yeah. Could you see the unraveling right before your eyes and describe it for us?
Well, it started slowly, obviously, and it started as a failure, to be honest, of the Transitional Council in 2011. But these people had clearly no experience in running a public administration of any kind, or a country, or creating a governance structure. And they ignored some very basic lessons that the international community, and I know a lot of NGOs and others, were trying to get them to do. Transitional authorities refused to recognize that what happened in Libya was a civil war. And once you recognize it's a civil war, you have certain implications with it. Right. Reconciliation, trying to solve the problem, trying to compensate, and so on. That contributes to building a state. Gaddafi had some supporters in the country. I mean, it was Libyans against Libyans at the end.
So let me ask finally, and if you can be brief, what's the pathway for your former country, and what is your hope for it?
Look, I don't see at this stage, I think all the opportunities, all the chances of Libyans themselves and Libyan government or authority to actually create a path forward have been exhausted, and I don't think they are viable. I think now the international community needs to recognize that the country is still under that stature, and they need to really help it from the outside, and even if they have to pressure it to make it happen.